Jellyfish, it's Tracy. Today's been like a super weird day. I just found out that Tom Petty is dead and I'm really upset about that. Tom Petty was like straight up, I listened to him like when I was like 13 and I was like, I love this man, and I'm like really upset right now. That like really upsets me. So today I wanted to do a video talking about some like tips for like limited if you're doing like sealed. I guess like there's some stuff in here for drafting too. I've done a couple like draft specific videos if that's more what you're looking for, but I kind of came up with these when I was like getting myself prepped for the Ixalan pre-release, and a couple of things that I noticed of like things to do. So these are a couple of like general things, but I think again they can apply to a couple of different like formats and stuff. Again, to drafting as well. So the first thing I want to say is to look at 1 mana 1/1s in perspective. If you draw 1 mana 1/1 30 turns later, how good is it? Example, a card like Sludge Crawler. I love this card. Really, I just love this card. I mean, this card, you draw this card on turn 1, it's great. If you draw this card on turn 7, it's great. You draw it on turn 14, it's better. Like, card just always gets good. So you gotta look at cards in perspective like that, versus just a vanilla 1 mana 1/1 with first strike that may be meh in the beginning, that may be great in like turn 1, but then on turn 17 it's not so great. So look at 1 mana 1/1s in perspective, and really see how good they are in like the late game. That's a really good way that I've always looked at it, and that really helps me out. Okay, cool. Let's look at removal. Now, a lot of times you will look at removal and say, it's really bad in limited, which guess what? You're right, because I come from a place of EDH where like I have access to all this great removal and like Path to Exile, and I'm like, what do you mean? You have to pay like 7 mana to kill that thing? That sucks. I don't want to have to do that. You kind of have to get yourself out of that mindset for limited and sealed though, because the deal with it is you need removal. You have to play removal. I am the queen of removal. I will always encourage people to play all the removal. So basically, you have to do it, even if you hate yourself because you're paying 8 mana for a kill spell and you're like, why does my life suck? Why do I have to pay like my left kidney to just cast this freaking card? The third thing, this is something that I feel like a lot of people overlook. Jump into multicolor, even if you're not sure if it's gonna work. I feel like so many people in drafting get so scared to go multicolored, and it's kind of funny almost that they shy away from multicolored cards. I will never forget, I believe it was Dragons of Tarkir, sealed Pro Tour. Jacob Wilson, who's one of like my all-time favorite pro players, mainly because he's just like at the time he was like 18 and like on the Pro Tour, and I'm like, why isn't my life that cool? Why wasn't I cool when I was 18? But anyways, he was drafting and he went straight away. That was a very multicolored heavy set with like dragons and things. So he like drafted like Dragon Lord Ojutai, like pack one, pick one or something like that, or Dragon Lord Atarka. Ended up getting rewarded for it later because people kept passing all of these multicolor cards because they were scared to commit. I am someone who lives my life based on like, if I fall in love with a couple of cards easily when I'm drafting, I'm like, dude, I need to play these cards. Trust your instincts. That's a really big thing with sealed and with drafting too, is trust your instincts and what cards you know are going to be good and what cards you know you want to play with. Ask yourself that question. Do I really want to play with these cards? If the answer is yes, then fix your deck and make it work so that you can run the cards that you want to run. Sometimes you do have to cut cards, unfortunately, and you're like, I can't unfortunately go in this path. It does happen. At the Ixalan pre-release, I wanted to go Merfolk. I had some really awesome Merfolk, but I just couldn't do it because Vampires was just too strong in my pool. But yeah, so definitely go into multicolored. You're probably going to be rewarded. A lot of people will pass you multicolored. I'm not saying go 5-color craziness. I mean, if you want to, do whatever you want, but you will probably find yourself getting rewarded a lot of times, especially with like removal cards that are multicolored and big bombs like those Dragon Lords that I was talking about. Dragons of Tarkir's cards were like fantastic. And this is kind of like in a similar realm, splash colors. A lot of times people get really scared to do third colors in a very like 2 mana heavy set, like 2 color heavy set. Guys, splash for a third color. You're gonna find a lot of times if you open up like Gideon, I always pick on Gideon just because I love Gideon. no, we're gonna do Elsbeth for this one because I love Elsbeth. You open up an Elsbeth and you're not even running white at all. I don't care. You splash for Elsbeth. You find some way in your deck to make Elsbeth work. If you are in the complete opposite colors, I don't care. Planeswalkers are kind of an exception. A lot of times you just need to play with them because they're just too good not to. But the rest of your color scheme is not great. It doesn't matter. You always splash for this card. Figure out some way to do it. You will be rewarded because just Planeswalkers are great and Elsbeth is great. And you just splash for the things. Do it. Okay, this kind of, I would say, lends itself more to sealed, but I think can absolutely work in draft too when you're grabbing your cards, is to organize your stuff into colors. This is like super helpful and very simple, but really helps. What I like to do when I will go to sealed is what I'll do is I'll separate it into colors and then I'll put towards the front the cards that I really like and cards that I want to play with. Then I take all the cards that I really like and I'm like, okay, cool, how many do I have? If I have like 3 red cards that I really like, well, maybe I'll splash for one of them or something, but really, my red is not really that good. And sorry, I realized you were super dark right there and I just turned I opened up the line and I'm really sorry. I don't know how much of that was like crazy dark. So I was talking about colors. So what I'll do is I'll take those cards and say, okay, cool. Well, like, I don't really have like that many good red cards. So I'm probably not going to go into red because of that, or I'm going to splash for it. And this is like a really good thing to do because it really forces you to see how many cards do you have that you can actually really play realistically. But yeah, that's what I do. I pull out like all sorts of big cards that are just bombs. Oh, sorry, I'm going into a different point. Well, yeah, I mean, this kind of goes into the same point. I pull out cards that I think are just incredible, like Primeval Titan. If I'm playing and I get a Primeval Titan, you know that I will bend over backwards to play Primeval Titan because this card is just ridiculous and I need to play it. So yeah, a card like this, I would easily find a place for in my deck because it just has to be there. Or like Gideon, as we talked about. You just gotta play with Gideon. And the last thing I would really say is something that I feel like a lot of people tend to not do and hurts them a lot, is sort through unplayable cards. Now, here's the deal. Here's the situation. You're in a draft scenario and the last card just gets packed to you and it's a Cobble Wings. Do not play with this card. It's awful. It's really not good. I'm gonna have people who are gonna defend Cobbled Wings. Please don't. It's a bad card. It is strictly unplayable. You cannot play with this card. It's just not good. It just doesn't do enough. I tend to really hate equipments unless it's like Godsend. Like, duh, you play with Godsend because this card's just stupid. But yeah, no, Cobbled Wings, don't play with this card. Please, please, please. There's one thing you learn from this video. Do not play with this card. So sorting through the cards that are just really not good is very, very important. It's almost more important than knowing what cards are good. Because if you're going to play with these cards, they're going to weigh your deck down. And you could be like missing out on cards that are really fantastic. Like a lot of times what I'll do is I'll be like drafting with someone or like we'll play our game and like they lose and I'm like, cool, let me take a look at your deck, let me take a look at what else you have, and I'll pull out cards that I'm like, dude, you need to be running this card, like this card's incredible, like it's a house, blah blah blah, whatever. And I'll pull out cards that I'm like, you really can't play with this card. What it really forces you to do is look at every single card individually. And yeah, it's going to take a while. You're really going to have to know what cards are really good. You're going to have to recognize what creatures are really solid. You're going to have to recognize that a lot of times enchantments and artifacts tend to be very underwhelming. Again, not all of them, but a lot of them, like Cobbled Wings. And then recognizing what cards are going to be really fantastic. It's definitely a difficult sort of thing, but like with creatures, I think it's a little bit easier because you're able to sort of like say like Dragonlord Ojutai is just a great card. Like how could you look at this card and say it's bad? Like you can't do that because it's amazing. So it's kind of things like that. But then what you're kind of forced to do is really look at your commons and uncommons. This is a huge, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm thinking about this now. Guys, this is a huge mistake. People make this all the time. Set comes out, everyone looks at the rares and mythics. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this is great, blah, blah, blah. Guys, you're not going to open up 15 Elspeth Sun's Champion. Like, it's just not going to happen. Okay? Okay, I would love that, but The reality is you're not going to. The bulk of your deck is going to be compromised of commons and uncommons, and the deal is you have to pay attention to them. Again, you're going to be running cards like Lava Axe and probably hating yourself for it, but that's the best you have, and that's what you need to play with. That's the whole deal with Sealed Unlimited, is that you're not playing in a constructed format where you have hours to tweak your deck, days, months, years to tweak your deck, and you're pulling from a wide range of cards. You're playing with a limited amount of cards, hence the word limited, duh. You know, where you're forced to use those resources and make a deck. It's like someone giving you the tools to, like, build a fire, you know? Whereas in reality world, we have electricity, but you're thrown in the woods when you're playing limited and sealed, and you gotta freaking figure out how to build a campfire. Can you do it? Don't ask me if I can do it. I probably will figure it out. That's my life motto. So, yeah, guys, that was it. That was for tips for, like, limited, sealed, that whole kind of thing. Yeah, but that's all I got. I hope you guys thought this was helpful, and I will talk to you later.